Okay, here we go. Taco Tuesday Club, day 342 out of the month. So we are here with you with our usual crazy topics that will make you think. We'll pull on your heartstrings a little too.
Hey, UFO. There's only 30 to 31 days in a month.
That is why I am still unidentified. That was a terrible joke. That didn't even make sense. Hey, you gotta admit your faults. All right, so
it's okay.
Yeah, so let's look at this. Super Bowl conspiracies here. Question of the day.
There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them.
Are they fixed? Are they fixed, Matt?
Are all Super Bowls fixed, or are the majority fixed?
Ooh,
or
that's
what's kind of your specific? What are you asking for?
I think to assume. Okay, so let me just set the stage here for you guys real quick. Okay.
Even more so. Are you talking Super Bowls, or are you talking the NFL in general?
Oh, girl, we are about to.
I mean,
we're about to dig
you
deep.
can. I mean, if you're saying the Super Bowl's rigged, then you have to automatically jump to, is the NFL rigged?
That is true. That is true.
So I mean,
you have to,
not that they're one and the same.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so here's how this like ball started rolling. Many years ago, many moons ago, I had a friend, and still current friend. I don't know, like, if he's still alive. I hope he is. This guy, he basically had the same conversation with me, except there was a point where he was a lot more. He basically came from this point of view of he was a WWE fan, and of course the biggest knock against WWE is what?
It's fake.
It's fake.
All of it.
And of course, him being a huge WWE fan, wanted to defend his pride and joy.
Yep.
What does he do?
And also a Tennessee Titan fan. I mean, you know.
Oh no! We're thinking of somebody else.
We'll
You're
get
thinking
there.
of somebody else. I'm thinking of
somebody
completely different than you are. But no, there is
a
prevailing idea amongst this individual that I knew, a good friend of mine, Harry, man, just a bearded scoundrel he was, but and Lord knows if he's still alive. But anyways, so okay, so my thing
loving scoundrel.
My biggest thing was he was saying, I think the NFL is rigged. Okay, here's the deal though. The last couple of Super Bowls got me thinking, could this hobbit be right? He was also short. He wasn't really short, but like mentally, he's a short man.
Yeah.
Liked wrestling.
Okay. So
I'm just kidding. He didn't he did like wrestling though.
Mm-hmm. No, I've heard that same kind of argument.
Sure.
Well, if this is fake and this is fake, then is the NBA fake? Is NFL fake? Is MLB fake? Is the NHL fake? And I'm like, I don't know.
Is TV fake? I mean,
yeah, TV's fake.
Was Lost fake? I mean,
still
everything
out
I
there.
believed is a lie.
Yeah, but there's so much around, not just the NFL. I would say also other sports.
Sure.
But I mean, in the end, there's so much to go against the NFL. They market the NFL. They treat it as a kind of, what's the word? More of a TV show than a.
It has become that way.
More of a reality series. I would say more of a reality series than a.
You have your narratives.
League.
Right.
Yeah, and so I mean, they people have points to what they're saying, but ultimately, how can you determine a game?
That's the big question.
Other than you say you win, you lose, and give these players motivation to not one, keep this a secret, but two, actually go out there and compete.
Yes.
And
risk their health, essentially.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, you're gonna get nailed and you're gonna be unconscious, and it's like, what?
Yeah, because we're building this
what?
story about this team, the Baltimore Ravens in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
and their defense,
Yeah.
and you picked the last straw, Dustin Keller, so you're going to get nailed in this 2009 2010. It's just this is what's going against
so much to
the
go
theory.
around it.
Yeah, this is going against that theory.
Yeah.
The question, of course, how it's not necessarily because a lot of people say, how is it possible? We can get into that. My big question is, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the number one, probably the biggest conspiracy out there. I mean, now this past year, Super Bowl 51, there's probably more conspiracy around that now. But I guess looking back, you'd say, okay, what's the biggest conspiracy?
Sure.
Kind of in recent years.
Lately.
And I would say you'd have to jump back to 2005 for the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots.
Okay.
Philadelphia Eagles are winning. They're pummeling the Patriots pretty much. It's not even a game.
Sounds familiar.
They go to halftime.
Okay.
They go to halftime. They sit there, and this is where the whole concept of bugging the locker rooms, the Patriots bug other teams' locker rooms, came about. We also know about Spygate and everything that comes about later. But when the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots came out of the locker rooms after halftime, the New England Patriots, the Philadelphia Eagles said, whatever we're doing, they know what we're doing. And how are they doing that?
Yeah.
They switched up their defense. They went to they started out with a 4-3 and they went to a 3-4 at halftime. They said, we're going to come out, play 3-4. And the New England Patriots had the answer for the 3-4.
Right.
And they said, we're going to do this with our offense. The Patriots changed up their defense and ultimately won the game 24-21.
Right.
With a Adam Vinatieri last minute heroic field goal to win.
Also a interception at the end of a Donovan McNabb drive.
Yes.
So
there was so much stuff that went on.
Of course.
But you just look at that game and you look back and you go, okay, what happened? But now you look at the Patriots and Falcons 21-3 going into halftime. Well, the Patriots come back and win 34-21.
And let's look at let's start with the early 2000s here. Okay? You can make a narrative of anything. You could take any team and you could say, go from the beginning and say, what's the big story here and everything else from a journalistic perspective. But
you can even look at the Broncos and Seahawks a couple years ago.
I was going to say,
Broncos lose to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl 43-8 when the Broncos were the best offense in the NFL, scoring more than 600
And you look
points.
at, I think it was like there was a lot of parallels with the letter 12. Or with the or something like that. 12 seconds in, everything else. But how do you plan that? So let's get into it. Let's go Super Bowl by Super Bowl here. Someone even argued that Super Bowl 3 must have been fixed, which again, that's hard to say. That is hard because yes, there were that is the biggest upset in NFL history.
I mean, even then you're saying. With that going back to Super Bowl 3 with the Jets beating the Baltimore Colts, you're looking at that and saying, okay, this doesn't just happen in the 2000s.
Sure,
this happens all the way through.
Team, yo. Like,
the NFL.
Did they play well? Absolutely. Am I willing, unfortunately, to look at this and scratch my head and say that upset seemed a bit too good to be true? Maybe.
Oh yeah.
But it's also like I'm proud of that moment. Because no other team has an upset that big. Again, come at me, bro. I will debate you. So, young kids today, they don't understand.
In the recent years, probably going back to.
Well, we can go through it. I've got it right here.
Well, I'm looking at it. I would say probably looking from.
Well, look at John Elway's season.
The last five seasons or so, when. The number one defense always takes on the number one offense in the Super Bowl now.
Yep.
And the number one defense has won for for 4. They're 4 for 4 in the Super Bowl now.
You want to win a Super Bowl,
And
have a great defense, obviously.
Yeah, it just makes no sense anymore.
Yeah.
You can even go back to the New York Giants beating the Patriots the first time.
Yeah.
When they had a good defense.
Sure.
Second time, the Steelers, always known as a great defense. The Saints, but again, both terrible defenses.
Yep.
Facing against the Colts. Steelers again beating Arizona.
Yep.
Arizona had a good defense then.
Yep. Well,
But
I was going to say here, you look at, let's even go back to 1998. John Elway gets his first ring.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
1999 goes out on top. Okay. Retires
The
on a high
narrative.
note. St. Louis, Tennessee, greatest show on turf. I could kind of say
that was the Well, no, that one was rigged if you want to look at it from
you could say
a non-biased kind of look, with the Tennessee Titans driving and then what's his name? It wasn't Eddie George. It was someone else reaching, and they were a couple feet away from the end zone to win the game, but
yeah, that's harsh.
They were so close,
That's
but
harsh.
they lost.
Yeah.
So you could throw that as a possible a possible rigged.
Baltimore's first ring, defense. I guess. I mean, you're kind of reaching there. That was a slaughter. Very boring Super Bowl, except unless you were a Ravens fan. Okay, New England, St. Louis, birth of a dinosaur.
Yeah, so this is the era where they came to life.
Yep. And obviously after September 11th,
America's
of course,
team.
then again, I would say, hey, why not let the Jets, a New York team, do it? But, I'm biased. Going to Tampa Bay.
The Patriots. They have the name, the
Sure.
Patriots, and
I get what you're saying.
The Cowboys weren't really even America's team at that point.
Yeah.
They kind of fell off the wagon in the 90s.
This is a shame.
And
it's a shame,
they
though.
needed a new America's team, in quotation marks. I'm using that,
quote unquote.
And here
America's
comes
bandwagon.
New England Patriots,
the millennial bandwagon.
Yeah.
So, seriously, I mean, you throw a rock at a group of millennials who'll probably hit a Patriot fan, and he'll probably say something about, we have more
Tom
rings,
Brady.
and then not know who, what's his name, John Holland is. Anyways, so, all right, let's see. I think it's John Holland. I should know that.
Just say Drew Bledsoe.
They might know him. They had a fantastic offensive lineman. Hall of Fame. Half of them don't even know who he is. 80%.
So,
anyways,
yeah,
so you got the
Patriot.
you have the Patriot
Bay
Super
and
Bowls.
Oakland.
Don't even need to go there. Pittsburgh, Seattle. I think somebody retired that season or something from Pittsburgh. So, Indianapolis Colts.
Oh yeah, the bus.
Yeah, Indianapolis
The bus
Colts.
against the Steelers, against the Seahawks.
Right. Indianapolis Colts.
won.
Peyton gets his
Peyton
first
Manning gets
ring.
his first
Yep.
ring.
Okay, giant upset.
Yep, Giants win.
It was the
beat
stage
the
was
Patriots.
stage was set for a good upset of that generation. Let's see, New Orleans Saints. Oh, you have Pittsburgh, Arizona. I guess if you wanted to
Right
stage
now,
that, give Arizona their
I can't
first
remember
ring.
when the bus retired. I thought it was 2006 or 06.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. Okay,
Can't
now
remember
you
the
got
second-
New Orleans.
Harrison retired.
Yep.
In the next Steeler victory, but then he came back.
New Orleans Saints.
Drew Bledsoe
got
gets his
that.
first ring.
Not just that, but of course Hurricane.
Not Bledsoe, Breeze. Sorry.
Breeze.
Yeah, and
Hurricane Katrina.
and Hurricane Katrina.
Packers Steelers is just a good Super Bowl.
Well, it put the label on Aaron Rodgers as possibly greatest of all time.
Well, at least he
Because
gets
of
his ring.
Throwing, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it gives him the ring to do that.
Gives him the ring to be in the conversation because apparently
Yes.
people think that rings justify everything. And
Yep.
Giants beat
But-
the New England Patriots again.
Again, another narrative, I would say.
A fair, yeah.
Boston, New York, I would say, kind of rivalry
And
type atmosphere.
Brady can't beat them in the Super Bowl, yada yada.
Yep.
Something like that.
Baltimore Ravens 2013.
Okay, this is where it
That's
just.
Ray Lewis.
This is where it feels like they're not even trying. Ray Lewis
Ray
retires.
Lewis retires.
Seattle Seahawks,
next
Denver, upset city. For the
yeah.
most part.
Trying to get Peyton his next ring, but then he loses.
Right. New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks.
Run versus pass game.
That it almost seems like they were throwing it. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, why did Russell throw it at the end zone when you have Marshawn Lynch?
Denver. Do I need to
Denver.
say it?
Peyton Manning getting his second ring, first ever
to retire.
Quarterback first ever with 2 rings for different teams.
And New England wins.
Retires.
New England wins the final one. First ever cheater to get 5 rings. So
greatest of all time. Greatest cheater of all time.
Of course, then again, that's the thing. What is the narrative now? He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Meh.
So there is
a
lot of conspiracies around Super Bowls, but also the entire NFL. But, I mean, that's besides the point. You can just kind of look at the Super Bowls and from a little glimpse and say, okay, this guy retired, this guy went out on top, this guy got his first ring, and you kind of line it all up to where we are now.
My question for you.
Okay.
How do you rig a Super Bowl? In a few sentences. Like, what are the main components?
How do you rig a Super Bowl? Well, I mean, if you're looking at...
if it's happening, we're not making this, case for it. We're just saying, you debate below.
I think that there is... If you're going to rig... If the NFL is rigged, and there's players involved, 53 players for each team, and then you have players that retire, and then you have, these guys and everything. There's so much. The NFL makes so much money.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Honestly,
it's entertainment.
I would look at it and say this: the NFL makes so much money. Owners get the money. Players they have a salary cap that is nowhere near what the team makes in a season.
Okay.
That is nowhere near. They make so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is what I think. We think about, okay, they make, let's put in J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, 6 year, $100 million. Okay?
Yep.
Now, how much is J.J. Watt making that they're not telling you about? He could be making another $100 million just by being J.J. Watt to keep his mouth closed.
I'll say this. I think this
money,
is how you do
money
it.
talks, and if that's the way that it goes, you can say, okay, play really hard, and this is what's going to happen. This is the narrative. So,
yeah, I think narratives are important.
Thing.
Sometimes I get really nervous when I'm going into a game and there's a powerful narrative. There's the Buffalo game in 2015. Rex Ryan gets revenge. I saw that breathing down my neck, and it freaked me out. Here's the thing. I will say this.
If the Jets win, they're in the playoffs. If they lose, they're not.
Here's the thing.
Rex Ryan gets revenge.
Here's how I think you rig it. If you're going to do it, this is all I'm saying. I don't necessarily believe this to be true, but I think this could be the most likely scenario. Boom. Okay. What do? You let the players play. But what do you have to your disposal? The referees.
No.
I think that
can't be the refs.
I don't know.
It can't. The players have to know, because it would be too obvious, because now they have all these cameras and it would be too obvious to the watcher. So
I know that
if the players
just
knew, money talks.
I guess, but you're assuming that everybody has to keep quiet, and even the practice squad players, even the people that have nothing to play for, even the people that are upset that they didn't get in the Hall of Fame. I really doubt that it speaks that loudly.
The NFL, even with this year being a down year, is still a multi-hundred billion, if not trillion-dollar company.
Right.
And the owners make money. They make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, money talks, and if you're a player and you're going, hey, these guys are going to give me over $100 million just to keep my mouth shut, I'll do that. That's fine.
I could see that being convinced. I just can't see everybody being convinced by that. But I can see the referees behind closed doors before they even walk out. Weeks in advance, getting briefed.
The refs would know.
I think they would be getting briefed, and I think what would happen is that you simply just don't let the players know, let them go on with everything. But the refs, you look at this latest Super Bowl, there was a terrible holding call, there was a terrible couple other things.
Oh, yeah.
You look at some of these other games, there's things that go unnoticed. There's holding calls on almost every play. You just have to choose when it's very almost precise enough just to use it. When within the game and the narrative, it would be the opportune moment to drop that call. And I think in a lot of cases, this is why people, the refs are terrible and everything else. Why? Because a lot of these games, a lot of these moments come down to a few calls. I think it could be possible.
I don't disregard that, but with technology, the NFL wouldn't have made it 51 years without with this system if it was just based on the refs.
But 51 years of people not saying anything?
Oh yeah.
Players? I don't know.
Yeah, that too, but I'm just
playing devil's advocate here.
It wouldn't make sense. There has to be an answer somewhere.
Yeah.
But
that's the best I can think of.
I wouldn't see it with refs.
Because I would still... Here's my final opinion on this as we wrap this one up, because we're going on 20 minutes. So, basically, I think... we passed 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're at 25. Or 21.
I still stand by the fact that I don't think it's rigged, but there are times when I think there could be a narrative there. I will say this. It is a lot harder in a live sport like football to rig that, unless you give me a freaking mathematical equation on how it can happen, because that's what you're going to have to do. WWE, it's fake. You see it. You know what I mean? With it's football, it's just so hard. 53 people have to play exactly that part. You have to. It's tough. It's a tough call.
53 times 32.
Times 30.
So
they all are on board with this?
Each team.
They are all on board with this? They all are able... 2 wrestlers with the addition of a couple of guys in weird underwear? Okay, I can understand that. With this case, I don't know. It's hard to say, so I don't think it is. But the more you see these stories come about, the more you... Because I'm telling you, I was watching Super Bowl 51. I kid you not, ask anybody in the room there. I turned to everybody and I said, I think they're going to come back. It just would make a good story. And boom, they did. And it's everybody, of course, now is going to be like, of course you said that, because it's the biggest story. And I'm like, exactly, it is.
Well, it's 21-3, and I look at Christy and I go, it's 21-3. Falcons are winning. She goes, it's over. And I said, don't say that.
Don't say that
because whenever she says that, Tom Brady comes back.
Brady did not look hard. He looked very level-headed. It just seems to me like his story is beautiful. His story, and here's the thing: if you're going to make a narrative, Brady being the new Michael Jordan, without the he's not winless, or he's not perfect in Super Bowls, but still, you've got your Michael Jordan. He's the greatest of all time. People will pay for that. Who is the ultimate consuming fan base? Patriot Nation. I am dead serious. They are the most, they are pleased by wins and their Patriots. With Tom Brady and all the other stuff. The reason that they started watching football was most likely because of the Patriots winning. Okay? They don't care about the sport. Of course, you go to Boston, you'll bump into a Pats fan. It's like, you didn't care about that before baseball season. Come on. Or when baseball was a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that.
I would say I agree with there is
Ultimate
a narrative.
Consumers. Yeah.
There's a narrative in the NFL, but I don't know if I would say rigged. Games are rigged. I would say there is a narrative surrounding the NFL.
There's a good story that goes in there. And I think it's interesting. It's fairly fascinating. I will say this. I think next week we should talk about, is Tom Brady the greatest ever? What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
At some point in the future. That'd be an interesting one.
We got to talk about draft stuff sometime soon.
What's that? Draft stuff?
That's coming up. Draft stuff.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're about to blow your mind.
But,
all right.
All right. Well, this is from the Taco Tuesday Club. We'll see you later.
Join us. Subscribe. Comment. And, eat tacos or something. I don't know.
Different things.